I get it. You're marketing this thing as a horror film. You can't really zero away from like, hey, by the way, if you're into this type of movie, the Stranger Danger movies, come watch this. Come watch McAvoy be an amazing actor. Oh my God, look at him. Look at that weird smile he does. Look how his veins pop and his skin just turns red. Howdy, folks. It is really hot in here. I do not feel great in here, but this is the set. I kind of, I'm shooting this in the middle of the day. Worst idea I've ever had. I really got to do them earlier in the morning when it's a little bit cooler. But I fucking hate Texas so much. It is so hot all the time. We are deep into fall. Well, not deep, but we're getting pretty deep into fall. It's almost October, and it's 90, 80 degrees out. And I am completely losing my mind because soon I'm gonna have to go work, and I don't like working outside. It's the worst, especially in this damn weather. But welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, to our weekly little not podcast. I almost called it a podcast because it pretty much is, but the weekly movie Pink Eye Show. Talk about movies. I love movies. I make movies. I got one coming out soon. Maybe tune in. This week we watched El Candidato Honesto. El Candidato Honesto was actually really surprisingly made. I really enjoyed it. Its political satire, its approach to Mexican politics, and its commentary on it. And we'll get into it. The next one was Transformers 1, which I really enjoyed. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was interesting. There was some thematic messaging that wasn't really resonating with me. And I was in the theater where they were clapping anytime Optimus Prime said a thing. And that kind of, it infuriated me because I was getting really deep into the film and everyone starts whooping and hollering. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm trying to listen to what's going on. And this thing is like, they're clapping and I hate clapping in theaters. It's the worst fucking thing. I don't respect you. This isn't this is like, even in Marvel movies, I don't think clapping is or should be acceptable. You can like or you can like, oh my God, fucking whisper. Use your inside voice. We are not at a concert. We are in a theater. You wouldn't be whooping and hollering when you're in a fucking stage play or a musical because it's disrespectful, But I did end up enjoying Transformers 1 pretty well. I was a big Transformers kid, and when I was like less than 5 years old, I would rewatch Revenge of the Fallen over and over again for some reason. It wasn't good for me. I think it genuinely stunted my mental health and my growth. I was a big Transformers kid. I really enjoyed Transformers 1 and that exploration between Megatron and Optimus Prime before they became who they are. There is some conflicting thematic messaging. Revolution is good, but violent revolution, bad. But we'll get into that. Next one is let me remember. Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil. My goodness. Obviously, James McAvoy is fantastic. He's pretty much the highlight of this film. He's the most interesting character out of all of them. And I really wish that Speak No Evil was centered around McAvoy's character. Because that character held so much interesting quandaries. And he was just an outright evil dickhead that was just incredibly entertaining to witness how uncomfortable and unsettling he is and how he made everyone feel throughout the entire movie. And marketing aside, we can have our opinions on the marketing side of things, but I felt like the marketing kind of like didn't serve the movie very well. Like, you go into it knowing what the marketing told you, and the marketing was really heavy. Every movie I went to see leading up to it, they played the Speak No Evil trailer so many times to the point where I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I get it. Let's move it. Let's get to the point where he snaps. So I feel like the marketing really damaged it. And I guess we're just gonna go into Speak No Evil, but the marketing is difficult to just like, I get it. You're marketing this thing as a horror film. You can't really steer away from like, hey, by the way, if you're into this type of movie, the Stranger Danger movies, come watch this. Come watch McAvoy be an amazing actor. Oh my God, look at him. Look at that weird smile he does. Look at how his veins pop and his skin just turns red. And yeah, it was great. It was amazing to witness. But some of the marketing made it really, really like, okay, when is he gonna snap? On the other hand, I will give it credit because thinking about it, the marketing really helped in making me feel unsettled. Because like we go into this movie knowing that James McAvoy's character is not a good person. He's a liar. He's doing all these things, and it's kind of this inevitability of seeing this family be led down this path, being misled, being lied to, being manipulated, and just seeing that, and at every moment being at the edge of your seat. The tension was built amazingly. It was incredibly tense, and the marketing really led you towards like, oh, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And for that, I give it props. I feel like it did help increase that tension throughout the movie because there are definitely moments where it's just deeply uncomfortable. I don't know how else you would market this film other than what it is. I keep my point where I kind of would be interested if they really wanted to do the whole, oh, look at James McAvoy, he's such a good actor. Come watch this movie and look at him lose his shit and be weird and creepy. I kind of wish that if they really wanted to market it like that, that the movie was centered around James McAvoy's character, so that we would see things from his perspective and see him manipulate this family, and just it would. I don't know. I feel like it would have been more interesting for me, but the movie itself is still really, really fantastic, just as an experience. And there were some certain character moments that really just shocked me and really like frustrated me. Because there are moments in this goddamn film, because James McAvoy's character is very much a alpha bro. He's very, oh yeah, you gotta work out, you gotta eat well, you gotta teach your children discipline, this and that. And there are these moments in this film that make you really deeply uncomfortable with some of the things that his character says. And it's just, he's very alpha bro douchebag. It comes across really uncomfortable. It's like, oh, ha 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 ha, yeah. But it's super interesting to see that contrast with the other male character in the film, who is a bit more tepid. He's a bit more insecure. He sees this guy and he idolizes him in a sense. He looks at him and like, we get this sense of the effect that these charming predator type of characters attract weaker, insecure predators. Very much pecking order, very much like, oh hey, I'm the nice guy, I'm insecure, I am going to like throw subtle digs at you, sort of deal, but present myself as a victim. And there is that dichotomy between like the toxic bro masculinity type and this very tepid, like insecure, very, very toxic nice guy trope. And I found that really, really interesting to see how that plays out. And then obviously there is the dichotomy between the partners of each character and how they either fall in line with McAvoy, or kind of have to like, they're kind of the boss of the relationship in a sense. I feel like that's the wrong word to use, but they are the more dominant one. They're more confident. Yeah, like it's really interesting how they portray these two relationships and their relationships with their children. And it just pissed me off throughout the movie to see the insecure guy let his partner, let his child be disrespected. And instead of saying like, oh hey, don't do that, I don't like that, please don't do that, they turn it around on their wife and their child, be like, hey, she doesn't like that, please don't. So it's a very like, in such a bullshit ass, like, holy fuck, get some grip, man. So that was the other aspect. It made me really, really frustrated in this character. And there really doesn't feel like there is much growth. There are certain moments where oh, this is the moment where he kind of like takes charge. Yeah, he's trying, but he kind of fucks up until the very, very end, where he just breaks his leg and puts the ladder next to the roof so everyone else can come down, which almost led to them getting like fucking murdered. And even at the very end, when McAvoy's character is on the ground and he has a gun to his face, he doesn't have the courage or the balls to pull the trigger. As I say that, it is supposed to be a contradiction to McAvoy's character. McAvoy's character is very aggressive. McAvoy would pull that trigger and that type of character, and this guy, he isn't that. The character, the strength of a person is not through willpower, through discipline, through like brutal like physical power, or like the ability to take a life, but it's the ability to give mercy, to do that, like Gandalf mentions in The Hobbit. Even at the end, it felt like the movie didn't do enough to push that messaging, because there is only one moment where there's two differences between the characters. McAvoy was ready to kill the fox when they went hunting, but the other guy, he couldn't pull the trigger. He couldn't do it. And there was that moment. And of course, there's other tiny, smaller moments throughout the film. But let me just say, holy shit, there's certain moments in the film where McAvoy's character is just lurking in the background. You can see him just kind of looking through the door's little window. And it like, the movie doesn't focus on it at all, but he's there and he's like staring them down through this and like listening to their conversation. So that was like super fucking interesting, and I'm really curious if there are other moments in the film where he's just kind of lurking in the background, kind of stalking them, very much like playing with their food. And I found that fucking amazing. But the film is fantastic. I loved it. Moving on to the next one, El Candidato Honesto. Now, I love Mexican films most of the time. Sometimes they tend to fall in like, oh, this is cheesy B-movie type of stuff. But sometimes, you get the Guillermos, you get the Alejandro Iñárritu's, Alfonso Cuarón, and there has been a push in Mexican film that really has revolutionized, kind of brought a second renaissance to Mexico and the films that Mexico produces. And I felt like this is one of those films that could have teetered onto like that, like, oh, this is a cheap movie they made that doesn't really mean much. But it actually, especially for a political satire, it does a really well-rounded job in criticizing the political landscape that Mexico struggles with so much. The corruption, all these terrible things, assassinations that are just all very commonplace. And I'm really, really glad the film has tackled that in a very humorous nature. Obviously, these are serious things. These are, these are issues that should be resolved. And through the satirical nature of the film, it tackles these things in such a way that I found interesting, because there are moments in the film where it makes you believe, oh, this is like a traditional story structure of, oh, hey, this guy starts to realize his wrongdoings. It's very rom-com in such a sense, where he's like, oh, I was wrong. I am morally horrible. I am a terrible person. I'm not honest. And they have like this realization, oh, I can be good. I am sorry. And there is that moment, but in that prime moment, in that climax, where it can go the direction of like, I realize my mistakes and I'm going to fix and save this country, because they're running for president against a woman, and who also in the movie is caught with taking bribes. So the movie does some things with its themes that are like, oh, is everyone just corrupt? Is there no hope? And it almost falls into that, like, I'm gonna save this country. I realize my mistakes. But it doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. And it's so amazing to see, because I almost expected it to do that. And it twisted my expectation so brilliantly. And it ended with him accepting that, no, he should not be president. It doesn't matter if he recognizes his mistakes, he admits them, he's honest, he should not be president, and this country should not be led by a liar, uh, by someone corrupt, by all these things. And towards the end of the movie, there's a beautiful moment where he is running for office again, but it's an incredibly smaller role for like municipal something in municipal. But there is that moment where he runs for something, a smaller office, which is still holds high regard, which is still important. And it's important to have these people in, in smaller grounded local communities and governments to eventually, change the system ground up until getting to the presidency. And it's very, it's very topical in its approach to this commentary. And it felt like it wasn't demeaning in its jokes, it wasn't like insulting to anybody, but the joke was always on the protagonist of the film. And I love Mexican film. It's such an incredible, beautiful little landscape we have. And dude, my hope is just to add on to it. It's just add more perspective. It's a beautiful fucking thing. I admire so many of these filmmakers, and it's just El Candidato Honesto just made me so happy to witness and see just nuestro just to see our people be portrayed in such ways, you know, in such ways that isn't like how Hollywood very much characterizes us. And it was a really wonderful watch. Yeah, I loved it so much. I highly recommend it. But moving on to, was that it? Yeah. Wow. And I got 5 minutes on the clock. Ooh, that's a world record, baby. Oh wow. I guess this is a little section where I start talking about Pink Eye. We have our new show. I announced it a little earlier. It's not out yet. We shot 3 episodes. We're 3 episodes in. We're gonna shoot more. Hopefully soon. I'm gonna get to work on that. But I'm gonna be editing these out. They'll be coming out in a regular setting, like weekly, along with this show that I'm really just excited for. I spoke to a lot of amazing people. We ate a lot of amazing food. We talk about film. We talk about our local communities. The power of this art form. How incredibly important it is to us. And, dude, it was just an amazing experience. I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to share more because it's one of my favorite things that I've done so far in my career as a storyteller. And I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did when we were able to release and share some looks. So please, if you like this video, if you want to see more of this type of stuff and more of what we've done, we finished Spotlight, our latest season. We dropped the new channel, so Spotlight has a dedicated home to it. So please go subscribe there. It'll be in the link in the bio. And of course, please subscribe here. We got more stuff coming along. It really means a lot to me and to everyone who has been helping out. And I'm really grateful. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Peace.